My husband slept with my best friend in every room of our house while I was pregnant with his child. The kitchen, the guest room, the back porch, which by the way has a broken screen door I asked him to fix for 8 months. He found time for that apparently. The laundry room. I didn't even know you could do that in a laundry room. I've since thought about it more than I care to admit, which probably says something about me I'm not ready to deal with. He's unemployed now. She's blacklisted from every firm in a 3-state radius. I got the house and I still haven't fixed that screen door. Not because I can't, because every time I walk past it, I feel something I don't have a name for, not quite satisfaction. Not quite grief. Something in between that kind of sits in your chest like a stone that got warm. Okay, let me back up. My name is Nora Ellen Callahan, which became Nora Ellen Whitfield for 6 years. And which is now Nora Ellen Callahan again because I paid the $62 to get it changed back. And it was the best $62 I have ever spent in my entire life. I was 31 when all of this started, 33 when it ended. Those 2 years feel like a different life, like something that happened to someone I know well but am not particularly fond of. I was pregnant 7 months, the size of what my OP kept calling a watermelon, which I don't know who started that comparison, but whoever it was clearly never had to ride in a sedan for 4 hours to visit their in-laws while retaining water in their ankles. I was also working remote, which I thought was going to be the best thing that ever happened to me and turned out to be the thing that let me see things I probably would have missed otherwise. I'm a project coordinator for a mid-sized logistics company. It's not glamorous. I spend most of my day on spreadsheets and calls and chasing people down for updates they should have sent me 3 days ago. I'm good at it. I'm very, very good at finding things people think are hidden. I don't say that to sound threatening. It's just true. My ex-husband, his name is Ryan Thomas Whitfield. He is to this day one of the most charming people I have ever met. He makes friends in grocery store checkout lines. He remembers the names of servers the second time he goes to a restaurant. People genuinely love him. His mother still texts me sometimes. I don't answer, but she texts. I want to say that because I think it matters. He wasn't some obvious monster. He was the guy at the party everyone gravitates toward. He was funny. He coached youth soccer on weekends for 2 years completely voluntarily because he said he liked the kids' energy. I believed him. Maybe that was still true. I honestly don't know. My best friend's name is Tess Maran Okafor. We met in college in a sociology class neither of us wanted to be in. She sat next to me and whispered something mean about the professor's tie in the first 5 minutes, and I laughed so hard the professor looked at me, and we've been friends since. Or I thought we had been. She's was the kind of beautiful that makes you slightly uncomfortable. Not in a jealous way, or not only in a jealous way, more like you're aware of her presence in a room in the way you're aware of a ceiling fan that's wobbling slightly. You can't stop tracking it. Ryan always said she was a lot. His word, she's a lot. Nor, I nodded. I filed it away as mild discomfort. Maybe it was guilt. I'll never know for sure. It was a Tuesday. I remember because I was watching the tail end of a rerun of the Great British Baking Show, the episode with the bread sculpture challenge, and I was eating a bowl of cereal at 11 o'clock in the morning because I had just finished a call and hadn't eaten real breakfast. And the baby was sitting on my bladder in a way that made the thought of getting off the couch feel genuinely difficult. Ryan was supposed to be at work. He worked in commercial real estate. His firm was downtown about 40 minutes away. He left at 8 o'clock every morning, came home between 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock. This was routine. This was 6 years of routine. I heard his car in the driveway at 11:15. I didn't think anything of it at first. People come home early sometimes. He forgot something. He had a lunch nearby, fine. But then I heard 2 car doors, too. I still don't know why that was the thing that made my body go still. Not my brain, my body. My hands stopped moving. The cereal spoon just sat in the bowl. I got up slowly because getting up at 7 months pregnant from a deep couch is an event. I walked to the front window and I looked through the gap in the curtains. The ones I'd bought at a Home Goods on Route 9, white linen. Ryan said they looked cheap. I kept them anyway, and I saw Tess standing in my driveway looking at her phone. Ryan was coming around the side of the car toward her. They weren't touching. That was the first thing my brain noted. They weren't touching, so I could still explain this. She dropped by. He ran into her downtown. They're planning a surprise for me. We were having dinner with her that Friday anyway. This is fine. And then Ryan put his hand on the small of her back and she turned toward him, and it was such a small gesture and such a specific gesture. And I knew before they went inside. I knew before I heard the front door open. I knew before I heard their voices go quieter and then disappear. I stood at that window for a while, I don't know how long. Long enough that the Great British Baking Show moved into a new episode. I want to tell you what I did next, but I need to tell you something else first. I had been noticing things for maybe a month, small things. Ryan coming home smelling like a different soap. Not cologne, soap. That specific detail confused me because cologne would have been predictable. Soap seemed accidental, like he'd used someone else's shower. I had noticed that Tess had started texting me more, which sounds like nothing, but her texts were strange, too cheerful. How are you feeling? With 2 question marks. Thinking about you today, which was not Tess's vocabulary. Tess is dry. Tess is funny in a mean way. She doesn't use exclamation points unless she's being sarcastic. I noticed that she'd stopped coming over the way she usually did. She used to drop by without really asking. That stopped. Around month 5 of my pregnancy. I thought she was giving me space, giving us space as a couple expecting our first baby. I had not put these things together. I want to be honest about that. I'm very good at finding things in spreadsheets. I'm apparently much worse at finding things that are right in front of me, or maybe I didn't want to. Maybe there's no meaningful difference, so what did I do? I went to my car. I drove to the Panera on Waverly Avenue and I ordered a broccoli cheddar soup and a bread bowl, which is not what you would order if you were in a state of controlled calm. And I sat in the booth by the window and I watched people walk by in the street and I ate the entire thing. Then I sat there for another 40 minutes. My phone buzzed. A text from my coworker Diane that said, "Did you see the reply I'll email?" I'm losing my mind. I did not reply. The email sat unread for 3 days. I found out later it was about a vending machine dispute. The stakes feel very different in retrospect. I drove back home at 1:30. Ryan's car was there. Tess's car was gone. I walked in. Ryan was in the kitchen making a sandwich. He looked up and said, "Oh, hey, I came home for a few hours. Figured I'd check on you. Where'd you go?" I said. "Panera?" He nodded. He asked how I was feeling. I said fine. I said I was tired and I was going to lie down. I went upstairs. I lay on top of the covers fully dressed and I stared at the ceiling and I thought I need to know how long this has been going on before I do anything. That was the decision I made in that moment. Not confrontation, not crying, just I need information first, which again probably says something about me. It took me 11 days. I want to be clear that I'm not proud of how I got some of this information and I'm not going to go into all of it. I will say that when you are a project coordinator who works remotely and your husband uses the same email password he's used since you met him because you can see it written in a post-it stuck inside his nightstand drawer and when his messages load in a browser and when you have a lunch break 11 days. The first email from Tess in his inbox was dated 14 months earlier. 14 months. I was not pregnant yet when it started. I was not even trying yet. We hadn't started yet. He came to me 4 months after that first email and suggested we start trying. He was enthusiastic about it. He talked about names. He talked about neighborhoods with good school districts. He held my hand. I sat with that for a long time. I'm still sitting with it. Honestly, the trying, the timing, whether the pregnancy was something that happened despite the affair or alongside it deliberately as some kind of, I don't know. I stop myself when I go too far down that road because I don't think I'll ever get an answer and I'm not sure I'd want it. The emails were not explicit mostly. They were worse than explicit. They were comfortable. They used shorthand. They referenced inside jokes I didn't know. One of them referenced a trip to Philadelphia that Ryan told me was a work conference. Tess went to Philadelphia that same weekend. I remembered it because she texted me from a cheesesteak place and I'd said I was jealous. I'd been jealous of the cheesesteak. I had been jealous of my best friend eating a cheesesteak with my husband in Philadelphia. There was an email where Ryan called her the version of himself he hadn't gotten to be. I read that 3 times. I'm still not sure what it means. I don't think I want to know. The thing about being pregnant while your life is collapsing is that your body doesn't know. Your body keeps doing its job. I had a prenatal appointment at week 31 where my OB said everything looked great. The baby's position was good. My blood pressure was good. And I sat in that office and smiled and said thank you and drove home and just sat in the driveway for a while. Not a long time, maybe 20 minutes. There was a podcast playing on the radio. I don't know what it was about. I didn't change it. My sister called that night. Her name is Christine. She lives in Portland. She has 3 kids and a very demanding job.